Well, to the Middle East now, where US President Donald Trump has begun his 4-day tour. And Trump has announced a sweep of major deals. He's lifted sanctions on Syria, quite controversial, and a $927 billion investment with Saudi Arabia. He's also defended his decision to accept an extravagant plane. Have a look.
Some people say, oh, you shouldn't accept gifts for the country. My attitude is, why wouldn't I accept a gift?
That was an interview with Sean Hannity on Fox News. Well, joining me now is CNN reporter Paula Hancocks. Paula, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. Look, what is the main purpose of Trump's 4-day trip to the Middle East? It is his first official state visit after the Vatican.
Well, Sharri, what we were expecting is pretty much what we have seen so far, and that is that the US president wanted to secure some significant investment deals into the United States. We were expecting some eye-watering figures. That is what we had from Saudi Arabia in agreeing to invest in defense, also in AI and technology. And we saw some of the CEOs of the biggest tech companies in America and Saudi Arabia all convene to hear Donald Trump and also the Crown Prince speak at a Saudi-US investments forum. That was always going to be the key for the US president, to get those big deals secured. But what we have seen, which is the most significant and a significant shift in US foreign policy, is Donald Trump deciding that he is going to plan to lift sanctions on Syria. He also, in just recent hours, met with President Ahmed al-Sharaa, the Syrian president who ousted Bashar al-Assad at the end of last year. He met him in Riyadh and he spoke to him for over half an hour. And he said after that meeting that he is exploring the possibility of normalizing relations with Syria. So this is a very significant development. It is something that Saudi Arabia and Qatar wanted the US president to do. We know that Saudi Arabia and Qatar have both paid about $15 million of debts to the WTO that Syria had. We know Qatar's paying public sector wages to try and get Syria back on its feet. So this was a really key decision by the US president that Saudi and Qatar and, of course, Syria were really hoping for on this trip. Sharri.
And, of course, the Syrian president is a former Islamic extremist figure whose treatment of many Syrians when he did overthrow the Assad regime was quite brutal. So there's some criticism of the president there for having that long meeting with him. Paula, Trump's also been criticised for not visiting Israel on this tour. What's his explanation for missing Israel when he's in neighbouring countries?
He was asked about it, and he said Israel will be a country I will visit, just not on this trip. The general assumption is that these three countries that he's visiting, the Gulf nations, are easy wins for him. There will be no protests. There's no contentious meetings with leaders that he has to worry about. And he will be treated like a king, as he was in Saudi Arabia, with all the pomp and ceremony that goes with it. He had some significant deals to announce in these three countries, and we're expecting more from Qatar and the UAE in the coming days. But he doesn't have that in Israel at this point. He has not secured the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, which he had claimed credit for at the beginning of his term. That since has collapsed. And so certainly that could be one reason why he has decided not to visit Israel on this particular tour. It will be noticed quite keenly in Israel, though, especially considering the fact he has now just dropped sanctions with Syria. He has met the Syrian president, which Israel desperately did not want him to do, either of those things. And there are a number of issues ongoing at this point where the US seems to be going it alone rather than conferring closely with Israel. So there will certainly be a lot of concern in that country.
Yeah, indeed. Paula Hancocks, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us tonight. Thank you so much.